I, very good afternoon to all of you. On behalf of Textile Association Mumbai Unit, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to this webinar, India's Textile Mahakumbh Bharat Tex 2025 Highlights, Trends and Innovation. I heartily welcome our moderator, Mr. Gurudas Aras, who has taken all the initiatives in organizing this webinar. In fact, Gurudas Aras does not need any introduction. He is so familiar in the textile fraternity. But for the sake of formality, I'll just say a few words about him. He has spent more than 4 decades in textile and textile machinery industry. He graduated from very famous Textile Engineering Institute, VZTI, from Mumbai University with a gold medal. He has also done a master's degree in textile engineering by research and post graduation in marketing management. He led ATE Group, which is very famous for the textile machinery and other things, for over 1.5 decades and retired as a director. Post his retirement, he has been nominated uh, as an independent director on boards of 6 companies and strategic advisor to German and to Indian companies. He is also a trustee of the Textile Association and he is one of the major pillars of Textile Association of India Mumbai unit. I also welcome all the speakers who have kindly accepted our request to participate in this webinar. Sorry, Dr. Samir Sood, Director NIFT, Dr. Anup Rakshit, Executive Director, Indian Textile Association, Technical Textile Association, Mr. Amit Jain, Founder, A&M Consulting, and Mr. Amey Padma, Director, Trade Engagement, Sorcery, Netherlands. The entire team of TI Mumbai unit joins me in conveying sincere thanks to all the speakers for making it convenient to be with us. I am sure that sharp observation, knowledge, and experience of all the speakers will be beneficial to all the participants here. I also visited Bharat Tex exhibition and I just want to make 2 observations from my side. It is nothing related to machinery, but only related to administration. One, it should have been held at one place and not at 3 places with different dates. That caused a lot of problem. When I visited Greater Noida site, there were very, very few visitors. Rather, all the stalls were empty. And the second, I feel it should not be held every year, but after 2 to 3 years, like our India, it may. Well, that's all my observation, and these are my personal observation. I request all the participants to keep their mic mute so that there will be no disturbance during webinar. Participant can ask the questions to the speaker after the presentation. I once again welcome all of you for this webinar. May I request Mr. Gurudas Aras to take over? Thank you, Aras. Take over, please.
Thank you, Mr. Gupte. Welcome to all the speakers and participants. It has been a great pleasure to organize this webinar. I personally visited this Bharat Tech second edition, and I thought that probably many of the people who are not in Delhi and around the area have missed the opportunity to visit this wonderful mega exhibition, so to call. And this second edition, I saw a lot of new developments, new trends, new innovations, which I thought it's a duty of sharing with the textile fraternity across India who could not get that opportunity. So with this thought, we have initiated this webinar. I have got four best of the speakers on this, and they themselves are expert and domain expert in their own field. So as and when I invite them to talk, I'll introduce them. In the meanwhile, now let me start with my small presentation. It is just an overall view about Bharat Tex. I'll be mainly talking, see, as Mr. Gupte said, the exhibition was held at 2 places. The major one was at Bharat Mandapam, and there was another one at Noida. So he was actually referring to Noida. but the Bharat Mandapam was over flooded all the 4 days. All the days it was totally over flooded. And I'll just touch upon the highlights, which will be very, very interesting for you to know. So can you go to the slide number 2? Yeah. So actually, as all of you know, the idea of Bharat Tex was conceived by the Textile Ministry, and the first edition was held last year. And actually, to be very honest, I was not expecting that to be so much successful, but the success was beyond imagination. And that is how it was thought that it will be held every year by the Textile Ministry. So this year's was the second edition of Bharat Tex. It was organized by consortium of 12 textile export promotion councils and was supported aptly by the Ministry of Textiles. The whole aim of this mega exhibition was to showcase India's textile industry to the world by bringing together all the key stakeholders, including the manufacturers, both big manufacturers, small, medium manufacturers, buyers, the industry experts, and innovators. When I say buyers, the special focus was on global buyers. This event attracted participation for over 120 countries, featuring more than 5,000 exhibitors. The fair covered fibers, yarns, fabrics, apparel, home furnishing, technical textiles, sustainable textiles, fashion accessories. Practically entire textile value chain was covered in this. Yeah, next one. See, what was the objective of this Bharat Tex? One was to showcase India's rich textile heritage to the world. Second one was to create a platform to accelerate government's farm to fiber to fabric to fashion and foreign markets vision. As you remember, last time when the Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, inaugurated the exhibition, Bharat Tex 2024, he gave this mantra of 5F, farm to fiber, fiber to fabric, fabric to fashion, and fashion to foreign markets. Now, this based on the same vision, this platform has been created. It has helped achieve goal of tripling. I mean, they have an objective of achieving goal of tripling the present textile exports, which are around 3 lakh crore, to nearly 9 lakh crore by 2030. Of course, it's a very big challenge to triple it in 6 years, but that, of course, has been kept as a goal. Secondly, to get a global recognition for the Indian textile products. And last but not the least, fostering collaboration between the manufacturers, exporters, and importers, global importers. Yeah, next one, please. Now, the key highlights have been, there has been global participation from 120 countries. It has showcased virtually the entire textile value chain, including technical textiles also. There was a startup pavilion which was featuring lots of textile-related startups, which was very, very inspiring. Sustainability and textile clusters had different pavilions. So this time, the theme was actually sustainability and innovation. And for that, a complete pavilion of sustainability was created. I personally visited also the textile clusters of Ichalkaranji and Amritsar. And I was very impressed with the kind of development these people have done. It's amazing. Parallelly, there were 70 knowledge sessions wherein many of the speakers across the world were invited, and this was attended very well by the people who visited this fair. Yeah, next. So in short, what was the achievement of this Bharat Tex 2025? It had 5,000 plus exhibitors. More than 12,000 plus textile products were exhibited. There were more than 6,000 buyers, overseas buyers. 220,000 square meter area it was spread upon. 70 knowledge sessions and nearly 120 trade visitors were there. So I would say it was a thumping success. The real result would be how India gets business or export orders from the foreign buyers that we have to see, because ministry has spent a lot of money in inviting these global buyers. And I think as far as the knowledge dissipation in concern, this entire, I think, Bharat Tex exhibition as well as the knowledge sessions have been very successful. And that is my personal view. So now it will be better to listen to the experts. So we have 4 experts. who will talk on fiber and yarns, fabrics, home textiles, apparel and fashions, and technical textiles. So I would now invite the first speaker, Mr. Amaya Padma, who will mainly cover the innovations or the trends and the highlights of the exhibition, focusing on fibers and yarns. I'll quickly introduce Mr. Padma. Mr. Amaya Padma has BTech's degree from premier institution Vijaytia and has over 22 years of experience in the textile industry across India. He has primarily been involved in sourcing and procurement of yarn and fabric in his career. Mr. Padma is presently working at Sorcery, a company from Netherlands, as Director Trade Engagement South Asia. Sorcery is a global sourcing organization that connects brands, manufacturers with the growers to secure and transact fiber, yarn, and fabric with full transparency, traceability, and verified impact. Prior to that, he was working with the Indocount Group. I request Mr. Amay Padma to kindly take over and talk on his experience and observations on the fiber and yarn side of Bharat Tex. Mr. Amay
First of
Padma.
all, yeah, thanks, Gurudas sir. First of all, I would like to thank Textile Association of India for inviting me to present the Bharat Tex overview. So these are some short overview of my personal achievement. But this was my second year visiting Bharat Tex. I was there for 4 days completely, around 35 kilometers walk, total 4 days, visited 200 plus stalls. Since I'm in sorcery where we are engaging the cotton growers with the brands through the transparent supply chain, so wanted to meet many manufacturers starting from FPO, ginner, spinner, fabric mills to the cut and sew and the exporters. I've attended around 2, 3 sessions which are related to the traceability, cotton supply chain. I attended one interesting session of NIFT which is organized by NIFT, which is Indian Cinema and the Textile, which was very interesting. So I met with the many industry textile experts, professionals, founders, and owners during my 4 days. So these are some of the highlights which has been discussed and by many people, their concerns, some of the ideas which are going to be prevailing in the textile industry going forward, maybe by 2030, 2040 also, these are the main focus. To start with, first is a verify primary data. This is a textile supply chain data with a verification at source. It comprises of social data, environmental data, commercial data of the manufacturers, starting from the farmers to spinner to fabric mill to even exporters. This is required to be captured and required to be verified in order to have a complete transparent supply chain for any buyer across the globe. Secondly, there is a digital product passport discussion is going on. By 2027, it will be very much needed, and everyone might not knowing about the digital product passport. It is a digital record of the product data that helps consumer brands and manufacturers make their decision better. And DPPs are the key part of the European Union efforts to promote transparency and sustainability. This is a rising need for the verifiable and borderless compliance. So this is going to be activated by 2027 in Europe. So any containers going into Europe required to have a digital product passport verified by the third party. So there are different cross-border regulations are coming up. I don't know how about the Indian exporters are ready. We have to discuss once there are questions. We have to discuss across among the industry leaders and the speakers also how these cross-border regulations are compatible with the Indian exporters going ahead. Yeah, the most talked point was the carbon footprints, like the scope 1, scope 2, scope 3. These are the different scope of carbon emission done by own facility or the energy source used by the manufacturer. Third is the supply chain, from where you are sourcing your yarn or fiber or the fabric. This is required to be done in a proper monitoring, digital way, reporting and verifications. So this is something new. The Indian government by Prime Minister of Modi ji is going to start this carbon credit mechanism in India across many industries, including the textiles, by 2026 second quarter. So we have to be very careful about the carbon footprints across the supply chain throughout all the manufacturers. The fifth point is the supply chain transparency, growing demand of proof-backed sustainability claims like ESG or the Sustainable Development Goals. We need to also focus on what is the impact on soil, what is the impact on environment, what is the impact on water, social, like farmer impact. While we are buying some t-shirts or bed linen, what is the impact related to the environment, social, and governance? That is also important. Circularity and the zero waste. Recently, I came across that zero waste policy has come up by the Maharashtra. So that is also a very important point. These are the some highlights of the Bharat Tex, which was discussed among the manufacturers, buyers, and the different sessions. So I'll cover some of the trends and fiber yarn fabric. There was a talk of tencel, bamboo, linen, hemp, silk, and their blends, which took a center stage as a premier luxury segment. And people have started moving from cotton to these blends or the single fiber like tencel bamboo. Example, it was a great discussion. One of the exporter, he was exporting 100% silk pillow covers. Very rapidly it is selling because of considering the beauty benefits as they come directly into contact while we sleep. So people are preferring silk pillow covers over the conventional cotton or the any other fiber. So these were some trends I could able to understand during the Bharat Tex. Secondly, the talk of town was the tencel and bamboo orders received in home textiles. Generally, the home textiles covered by the conventional cotton or organic or the regenerative cotton. But recently, I heard that home textile has started using tencel and bamboo fiber 100% or even some blends. So it's not a small orders. I heard that some of the brands has place some 1 crore meter wider width fabric order into home textiles. And there are two vertical exporters, those who are doing these orders currently. As far as in home textiles, again, there is a trend towards regenerative organic cotton compared to the conventional. And many verticals have started using Supima and Egyptian cotton fibers compared to Indian cotton or any other BCI or any conventional Indian cotton. So more focus is on Supima Egyptian because of the longer staple length, properties, and the transparency they provide, and sustainability, whatever they are giving through their supply chain. As everyone knows, there is a talk of discussion about recycle policy and recycle cotton due to the net zero sustainability claims by many brands, which is into their pledge. They have to go net zero by 2030, some are 2050, some are going 2070. So one of the big help for them to go recycle polyester or recycle cotton. I came across Kasturi cotton stall also, Textile. I met my colleagues there working there. And I've seen the Kasturi cotton has been absorbed by many of the manufacturers, including ginners, spinner, fabric mill. And this is the program proposed by Textile, Government of India, which is a premium conventional cotton with a better physical properties, with the blockchain traceability and transaction certificates, what they're providing. And we need to see how far it goes, So currently they are providing 29 mm Kasturi cotton, and they are planning to go ahead with 32 mm plus fiber in Kasturi cotton. So I'm in touch with various digital traceability platform along with a physical tracer, which is very much required in the textile supply chain because this is a need of an hour for transparency and traceability. And there is a recent news from the textile magazine that IKEA have mandated that supply chain stakeholder exclusively use renewable energy for power consumption. And those relying on fossil fuel, like India is relying around 75 to 80% on fossil fuel. So will not be no longer part of the IKEA supply chain. So ginner, fabric mill, spinner, cut and sew, whoever in the supply chain, IKEA will not buy if they are using fossil fuel from the grid power generation. There are some highlights like global cross-cutting trends, sustainability, as I discussed, recycle biodegradable fibers, waterless dyeing and circularity is discussed in Bharat Tex, digitization, AI, machine learning, IoT, blockchain for efficient, transparent supply chain, even for the quality, IoT has been used. Technical textile, my co-speakers also going to discuss about the technical textiles, but there is a growth in the medical, automotive, and smart fabrics seen at Bharat Tex. Regulatory shifts, AU regulations, CSRD, that is Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, require company to report their environmental and social governance, which is much more needed going forward for any exports throughout any country from India. So these are some innovations of fiber yarn fabric, which I came across during Bharat Tex, bioengineered fibers like spider milk and algae-based yarn. Then there is a digital thread. One company called Bansal Spinning Mill provided some QR coded fabrics for traceability, which was highlighted during Bharat Tex. Energy efficiency, adoption of renewable energy, as I said. So Bharat Tex events are actively promoting the renewable energy adoption in Indian textile units. It is a need of R. And then digital transformation, as I again said, AI, IoT, blockchain, it is much needed in the textile efficiency, enabling smart textile, health, and sports. Personalization and mass customization, digital printing and AI enable on-demand tailored production, reducing waste and boosting customer satisfaction. And Walmart, everyone knows they are into home buying. They are partnering with a biotech company called Ruby Laboratories to develop a clothing made from a carbon dioxide emissions captured from its supply chain. It is something, an innovative idea, which has came across during some articles that any carbon dioxide emissions any factory does during their textile manufacturing, it will be captured by Ruby Laboratory and it will be converted into fiber and then yarn and then into the fabric. It is on the pilot mode currently. We can see the development coming into the bulk production by 28 or something like that. So about sustainability, it is not just a trend, it is a responsibility of everyone. And the fashion industry is evolving and the challenges remain. So many of might not be knowing, many might know the 22% of the global water pollution is caused by the textile production. There is around one t-shirt require 2,700 liters of water to make it. 85% of the garments end up landfills per year with only 1% being recycled. And there are 35 crore liters of water effluent is discharged daily in India from textile processes across complete India, or whatever it is into cotton supply chain or synthetic supply chain. So what is a conscious step towards that? Will be reducing water consumption, cutting down textile waste, lowering carbon emissions, creating circular economy, preserving our planet for future generations. And the most important part, people are just copying the SOPs and standards from the sustainability processes from the other country. India being such a diverse country, which a diverse textile supply chain processes, different states, different environment, different manufacturing facility. We should not be copying SOP and standards directly from Europe or the US or given by the buyers. We have to understand what is the need. We have to employ local artisan, local expert, those who understand India. So your fashion choices matters. So these are some short and sweet observations for the highlights, trends, and innovations from my side. Gurudashi, you can take over.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, Amay Padma. That was really a wonderful presentation. I really appreciate because in the matter of only 15-20 minutes, you have taken all of us across the trends and innovations in fibers, yarns, and fabrics. It's a difficult task, I know. But thanks a lot. I think this was full of a lot of new information for me also. So thank you, Mr. Padma. Now we move to the next speaker, Mr. Amit Jain. I'll just read his introduction. Mr. Amit Jain is a seasoned textile professional and an academician with over 35 years of experience. He has varied experience of working at Bombay Dyeing, Welspun, Trident, OCM, JCT, and Garden Silk Mills before starting his own consultancy firm, A&M Consultancy. He has been a consultant to startups like PSL, House and Amp, Kinder, Monte Carlo Home, Cotton Concepts, and AMP. He is a visiting faculty at IIT Delhi, teaching textile product management to the undergraduates. He also runs an online mentoring course, Textile Titans, everything from textile raw material to retail. So I think first batch was very successfully completed by him a couple of months back, and now I think he has announced second batch for people. Mr. Amit Jain is a real expert on home textiles because he has spent the whole of his career in home textiles. So may I invite Mr. Jain to take over now? Mr. Amit Jain, please.
Thank you, Gurudas ji. I am humbled by your introduction. I'll just add two more lines. I am also a textile engineer, which I missed in my introduction. I am textile engineer from TIT Bhiwani and did masters from IIT Delhi. And afterwards, I also did a executive MBA from Italy. So that's my. So can we start with the presentation, please? While the presentation is coming on, like our friend Padma showed about his personal things, what he did at Bharat Tex. For me, in first 3 days, I did more than 30,000 steps and met maybe, as they say, bichhde hue log. So people whom I had not met in ages, I met them. So it was very humbling experience. People I had not met for 35 odd years. We worked together in Garden Silk Mill, and people now who are directors. So it was a very, very great, and it is rightly Christian. It is the Mahakumbh where people meet. They don't, separate, right? Next slide, please. So now this is a picture which I just came across 2 days back. So this is a young Amit Jain at Moda Inn and Piti Uomo. So I always dreamt that in India also we should have such a huge exhibitions happening which are world class. So I was so happy and flattened to see Bharat Tex 2025. It was not very far from Piti Uomo, Piti Filati, and whatnot. So three cheers for the team who organized Bharat Tex. Next slide, please. So I have been asked to stick to home textiles, but as my intro said, that I have been a man from Garden Silk Mill to home textiles. So I'll start with home textiles only. The presence was, there was a separate hall for home textiles of 2 floors. So you can understand the importance of home textiles to the today's textile industry. It is emphasized further that 53% of US imports, global imports in home textiles come from India. So it's one of the leaders in US market. It's a very competitive market, as everybody knows. The major Indian players, global players were there with their promoters in attendance. Most of them, the experience was equivalent to annual fair Heimtex Frankfurt. So imagine they were comparing it to Frankfurt. Heimtex is like the big place for home textile people. It was better vis-a-vis last year with many international buyers at Trident, Welspun, Indocount, Mons Pintex, Sara Textile, and Jawad Sons. So one thing that was very different from 2024 edition was we had a retinue of foreign buyers. So Ministry of Textiles and the associations had done a fantastic job there. So at the entrance itself, in morning, I think I reached around 9:30. There were hordes of foreign buyers already at the venue. So that was a very great thing. Then domestic branded players, My Trident, Spaces, Boutique Living, Signature Blanket, Florida Blanket had showcased their latest collection. So these are again very big players in their own right. So among the domestic Indian market, they are all very, very important players. Like Signature has been advertising for last 7 odd years on the national TV. And they were present this time at Bharat Tex. So My Trident, the branded segment of Trident, had the stall and products themed around Samay. It was a sea of humans at their stall. It was amazing. Whenever I went to Trident, my ex-company, it was always full of people. And the Chairman Emeritus, Mr. Rajendra Gupta, his son. So all the full of A team was present there, right? Next slide, please. My key takeaways, what I have done is I have put the key takeaways in, one after the other. So my Trident presented innovative bed linen inspired by Ayurveda principles. So their stall was themed as Samay. So Ayurveda, Pitta, Kapha, and those four principles, they were used for bed linen. It was amazing and different thought process altogether. Spaces showcase the revamped collection of bath linen. So the spaces have been in bath linen for last, I think, more than 15 years in the domestic market. So they have revamped the whole collection. They have changed the borders, they have changed the products. So it is a rejuvenation of spaces in bath linen category. Then a unknown company, Advait Lakshmi, showcased 180 GSM quick dry terry towels. They have been into terry towels only for last, I think, 6 or 7 years. So they are already on the right path, catching eyeballs. Golden Terry, again, one of the veterans in Panipat. And Panipat, it is growing leaps and bounds. Recently, I saw somewhere 75% of India's blanket today is being manufactured in Panipat. A single city, a sleepy city of Panipat is contributing 75% of blankets. So Golden, which is a terry towel manufacturer, blanket manufacturer, and even micro bed sheet manufacturer, they showcased a single dyed jacquard towel with two-tone. Kasturi, as mentioned by Mr. Padma also, it was very much present. The Indian branded cotton was visible across. Ministry of Textile focus on it was visible very well. Birla Cellulose showcased eco-friendly bed and bath linen material using Leva Reviva and sustainable sponge shades viscose, thereby eliminating yarn and fabric dyeing. So their focus now is on pre-dyed, dope-dyed viscose, which again is a very great step in the right direction. Next step, please. Next slide. Yeah. So Dr. Maya was talking about, Dr. Padma and Guru Das ji was talking about the JVs. So I learned about a JV that happened between Grasim and RSWM for application of Grasim's graphene fiber. Again, these are something which were never heard of at exhibitions in India. Revalue Resources is the world's largest PET plastic recycled site with 280 tons per day. So that is the kind of recycling capacity that is being created in India. These can be used to manufacture PET bottles and polyester filament fiber. So there are two different lines and two different kinds of chips, one for polyester filament yarn, another for PET bottles. Bitra Mumbai had developed a lap spinning line for manufacturing carbon filament for commercial use. Now again, it is heartening to see the Bitras and Nitras of the world today doing applied research. They are no more doing only the research which was good for publications. Indian Oil has entered into a JV with MCPI, owners of Garden Vareli, and they are working on a polyester yarn project in Odisha with a capacity of 1 lakh metric tons per year of PSF and 2 lakh metric tons per year value-added DTY and FDY. Hopefully, with Indian Oil getting into this value chain, the costs and the prices of polyester will become close to the global level. Today, we are struggling with the prices being around 30% over the global prices. So we may become very competent. So Nitra is growing on the premises milkweed, a cellulosic fiber. This has application in winter wear and comforters. And even our Prime Minister visited Nitra's stall. So you can understand how important milkweed is for the value chain and the thought process. The recycling industry, our friend has already talked about it. So let's go to the next slide. So this happens when you are next slide, please. it's gone reverse. Okay, my title is wrong. Sorry. IIT showcased the bulletproof jackets developed with DRDO. This is again a very positive step that has happened. Now, IIT and DRDOs, they are not working in silos. They are working in tandem. So they had showcased in the technical textile areas two jackets, one for 9 mm bullet and other for army high reach, the full blooded jacket. So they are working now on commercialization of these jackets. Weaving vibes. Again, Gurdas ji was talking about startups. A 3-year-old startup focused on hemp and bamboo. It is doing well in apparel space. I love the young boy who explained me about the hemp and how the value chain is, and the supply chain is getting fiber somewhere from New Zealand. So people are working really smart. Amazed to see white shirting fabric of 2 by 170s by 2 by 170s. Again, it was on the second floor in home textile section in 100% cotton. We always thought only Italians can do it. And this was at the stall of Tyagarajar Mills, one of the oldest mill. Guru Das ji would certify that, from Madurai. In past, we had never heard about it. The offerings in linen at Vijesh Corporation. Again, I had, interacted with this gentleman, Atul Agarwal, on the various groups. But when I saw what kind of work they are doing and the video of their operations at Papi, it was amazing. We only talked about Wellspuns and Tridents of the world, but these medium level people, they are doing fantastic work. Digitally printed denim at the stall of ColorJet was an eye-opener on manufacturing sustainable denim. We are talking about, supply chains and whatnot. So here ColorJet has come out with a digital printed denim. So after seeing that picture, nobody can say whether that is a woven denim with water wasted or everything, or it is just regular denim. So it's a very good thing what ColorJet has done. So that's it for me, Gurudas ji. Thanks for your time. I hope I didn't take more than my allotted time.
Thank you very much, Amit ji. I think you have not only covered home textiles, but you have also covered part of fibers, yarns, fabrics. I really appreciate it because you have virtually complemented what presentation Mr. Padma has done.
Yeah.
Because for one individual, it was impossible to cover the whole exhibition.
Yeah.
So both of you together have wonderfully covered, I think, lots of new innovations and also a lot of new trends also. It's very interesting. Thank you very much, Amit ji, once again.
My pleasure.
Yeah, our next speaker is Dr. Samir Sood. I'll have to check whether he has joined because he was to join little late.
Yes, I'm here.
There. Okay. Welcome, Dr. Sood. Professor Dr. Samir Sood is going to cover on the latest trends, innovations in apparel and fashion. He's an expert on that. I'll quickly read his introduction. He is also a very well-known figure. I think he doesn't need any introduction. Dr. Samir Sood is an experienced professor with a demonstrated history of working in higher education industry. At present, he is director of NIFT Gandhinagar. Prior to that, he worked with Modelema Group, and Dr. Sood is a member of CII National Committee on Design. And I think he is also part of the sustainability team working for the government. Dr. Sood is an experienced professor with, his skills are basically in CSR, operations management, retail, quality assurance, and sourcing. Dr. Sood holds postgraduate diploma in management, focusing on business administration and management from the famous Management Development Institute, MDI. So may I invite Professor Dr. Samir Sood to take over now.
Yeah, thank you.
Pretty sure that it will be very interesting,
Yes.
presentation as like earlier two speakers.
Yeah. So thank you, Gurudas ji. I'm audible to everybody?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So thank you, Gurudas ji, for inviting me to this webinar. The topic is seriously very interesting, Bharat Tex. So as an industry, but I will start. I do not have any presentation, so I will speak only on the topic.
That's okay. That's no issue.
Yeah. So as an industry, I think we need to differentiate ourselves from the rest of the apparel or textile producing countries. Like our nearest competitors right now is Bangladesh and Vietnam. So we need to basically have some differentiation. We talk about Bangladesh, we talk about Vietnam. They always say that they are cost competitive, but this cost competitiveness would not be sustainable for them. They might be cost competitive for maybe 10 years or 15 years, but after 10, 15 years, they will also not be competitive. But at the same time, they stand nowhere in terms of sustainability as we are. We, being the oldest civilization on the planet, our country is the oldest civilization on the planet. We are basically practicing this sustainability for years. Right from the Vedic age, Prakriti Rakshiti Rakshita, those who protect nature are protected by nature, was in fact a clarion call given by our Vedas. Sustainability is basically conservation of all the five elements of nature, conservation of all the five elements of which our human body is also made up of. Agni, Jal, Vayu, Nab, and Dhara. That was also that concept was also basically given to the outside world by our Vedas in the form of Panchtattva. So I mean to say that sustainability is not a new. If we talk about modern age, what can be better sustainable than khadi? So India, as a country, we are basically the Janam Data of khadi fabric also, which is the most sustainable fabric across the world. There cannot be any fabric which is more sustainable than khadi. At the same time, we are very rich in handlooms and handicrafts. 95% of the handloom fabrics, they are basically from India. Rest of the world, they have basically given away this handloom tradition, but we are still carrying that legacy. 25 lakh of workers, of handloom workers, are still working in our country. So we need to basically create a differentiation, and we need to create a niche in the market. We need to create a USP. And what can be better USP than sustainability? Coming back to the Bharat Tex, through Bharat Tex 2024 and 2025, we have basically communicated to the outside world that India is the most sustainable destination if you would like to source textiles or if you would like to source apparels. The tagline of the Bharat Tex, if you would ever came across, it is textiles, fashion, and sustainability. So by that tagline, we have already communicated to the rest of the world that India is the most sustainable destination in terms of apparel and textiles. The theme for this Bharat Tex was innovation meets responsibility. That means if you would like to source an innovative product, come to India, come to our country, Bharat. And if you would like to if you would like to source a responsible product, if you would like to source a product which has come out from a responsible production method, then also come to India, because India is the only destination wherein we will meet innovation and sustainability both. So coming back to this sustainability thing, we need to create a niche. Recently in the Bharat Tex, if you would have heard about the Prime Minister, what Prime Minister said about in the Bharat Tex, there is a lot of, he was very much concerned about the fast fashion. Due to this fast fashion, there is a lot of fashion wastages are also coming. And these fashion wastages, India, sadly, we are the textile sector is the second biggest employer of the country. But sadly, it is also the second contributor, the second biggest pollutant also. So he was very much concerned about this pollution, which is being caused by the fast fashion thing. And he also mentioned that इस आपदा में हमारे को अवसर ढूंढना चाहिए. And what can be a better example of आपदा में अवसर ढूंढना than textile industry? We have done it in the past also, like in the COVID kits. When the COVID came out, when the COVID virus came out, we were absolutely zero in the PPE kits. And right now, I would very proudly say that we are number second in the entire world. Within 45 days, we developed that technology. And within 60 days, we became Atmanirbhar in this COVID kits. So now this another apda which is coming is the fast fashion wastages, especially the post-consumer wastages. Because of fast fashion, people are buying more, and this buying tendency more, it is going to the landfills, and it is adding to the pollution. It has a lot of environmental concerns also. So one thing which comes to my mind to tackle this problem, which Prime Minister also mentioned, is the recycling industry. Recycling industry right now in our country, there are only two clusters which are basically operational. One cluster is there in Tirupur, and another active cluster is there in Panipat. So we are very closely working with the Panipat cluster, the GATS cluster. And I through this platform, I would like to request everybody who is in the textile business, think about this business also, think about this recycling business also, because of the fact that recycled fiber, it is very competitive in cost also. It is 30% lesser cost than the virgin fiber. And most importantly, majority of the retail buyers, majority of the foreign buyers, they are looking for recycled fibers. They have earmarked that they will source a merchandise which is made up of recycled fibers. At least 15 to 20% of that merchandise, they have already made up their mind that they will purchase it from the recycled sources. So there is a very big opportunity which is waiting for everybody in the textile business. So let us make this crisis into an opportunity. Let us not see this crisis as a crisis. Let us basically make an opportunity out of it. We can very easily set up a recycling business. If you are running already a spinning mill, then there is a little backward integration is required. If you are not running a spinning mill, then also it is not very much difficult to run a recycling business. And most importantly, it is cost competitive, and it is in the line of the entire world. Entire world is basically seeing India as the most sustainable destination of the world. So let us make this Abda into opportunity. And in costing also, this recycled fiber is lesser in cost. And also, as an institution, we are working with various municipal corporations of the country. So Navi Mumbai is one of the examples which they have already started collecting textile wastages from the households. So moment this arrangement would be formalized, then there will be a very big opportunity for the recycling industry to be set up in that vicinity, because already the textile wastages would reach to the textile recyclers. Whenever I interact with the textile recyclers, they always say that they are short of raw materials. They never say that they are short of demand. So we should enter into a business which is basically full of demand, and which is also in line with the overall vision of the country, overall vision of the textile industry, which is basically sustainability. Also, I recently went to this Global India Summit at Madhya Pradesh, Bhopal as a speaker. Prime Minister mentioned that there will be the role of three industries would be very crucial in making India a Viksit Bharat by 2047. And firstly, he mentioned about textiles. Second, he mentioned about tourism. And thirdly, he mentioned about technology. So we should be, from the textile ecosystem, we should be very proud to say this thing, that textile is one of the priority sectors of the government of India. And textile is the one sector which government of India, and which as a country we are basically seeing that this sector will contribute a lot in making India a Viksit Bharat. And for that to happen, the contribution of everybody would be required. And he also mentioned that we have to come out of this, we have to basically adopt from Swayam to Vayam approach. This Swayam and Vayam, basically they are Sanskrit words. Swayam is basically me and Vayam is basically us. So we have to come out from me approach to us approach. We have to basically be collaborative, because collaboration is success in future. If we would like to be in success, we have to be basically collaborative. So we need to learn from each other. We need to basically learn from the best practices of each other organizations to be successful in the business. And the best example of our industry, especially the apparel industry, is that there are no entry barriers. Right now, there are no entry barriers. Anybody can set up an apparel manufacturing company, and they can easily start selling their products, and they can very easily compete with the renowned brands if they are on the online platforms. So it is a very good opportunity for a new entrepreneur also to enter into this business. And also the existing entrepreneurs, they can also think about entering into sustainable fashion business. And if recycling is one thing, another thing which comes to my mind is regenerative fibers. India as a country, we are very good in regenerative fibers. We are very good in banana. We are very good in bamboo fiber. In fact, we are number second in the world in terms of production of banana fiber, and number first in bamboo fibers. So if you are into textile business, think about this regenerative textile business also, because it is also one of the sunshine industries of our industry. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Sood. See, you are an expert in apparel and fashion. So concerning Bharat Tex, may I ask you one question? That did you see any? Because I have seen some of the photographs of Textile Minister moving with you in the some of the stalls, of apparel. So did you find anything which is innovative or which is something new in apparel as well as in fashion, or what are the new trends you observed?
You see, the new trends are first of all, the entire world is talking about sustainability, and new trends are certain. We also basically showcase one of the new trends in the Bharat Tex, basically photochromatic fabrics, the fabrics which change color with light. So we basically exhibited. It was last exhibited in the Paris Fashion Week, and now it was exhibited in the Bharat Tex, and it was done by us. So it is also one of the upcoming technologies which basically we can see, and new technology which you are talking 3D fabrics is another thing which I think we should be thinking about. Technical textiles, obviously the application parts of the technical textiles, and there are three major segments of the technical textiles in which we are basically net importers. If we are net importers in these three categories, then it means that it is a very big opportunity which is waiting for us. We are importers in home textiles. Home textiles is basically the fabrics which we use in upholstery, fabrics, and blinds and carpets. We are also net importer in medical textiles. Medical textiles is one of the areas which has immense potential, because as a customer we never negotiate with whenever we buy medical textile, whenever we buy a bandage, or whenever we get admitted to a hospital, we never basically do that bargaining type of thing. It is a very big opportunity which is basically waiting for us, and we are right now as a country we are basically net importer in this business also. Another very big opportunity which is waiting for us is the sport tech, the technical textile which is basically which we use in sports. So that also is a very big opportunity which is waiting for us.
Thank you, Dr. Samir Sood, for your wonderful presentation. And I think it's good that I found that your main focus was on sustainability. So I think this is a message to the participants that next few years, I think the entire textile value chain will be looking more towards becoming sustainable, both in manufacturing as well as in the products. So with this, I go to the last presentation of Dr. Anup Rakshit. Again, Dr. Rakshit doesn't need any introduction. He is one of the experts in the technical textile fields. And it was good that Mr. Sood has left this presentation on the note on technical textile, which will be now taken over by Dr. Anup Rakshit. Let me quickly introduce Dr. Rakshit. Dr. Rakshit holds MTech degree from TIT Bhiwani and PhD from Mumbai University. He is at present the Executive Director at Indian Technical Textile Association, known as ITA. He has over 44 years of experience, out of which 15 years is in polyester, fiber manufacturing, 11 years in textile mills, and 12 years in research institutions. Dr. Rakshit holds 3 Indian patents on his name. That's simply great. He has so far published 40 research papers and technical articles. In the past, he worked in reputed organizations like Reliance, Bombay Dyeing, JCT, and Bitra. So let me invite Dr. Anup Rakshit. So before that, just one announcement. If you have any questions for any of the speakers, kindly put them in the chat box by mentioning to whom it is addressed. The chat box is open for you. So Dr. Rakshit, it's all yours now.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. RS, for kind words. And just I am now, can I have that my note on the screen? Or if you give me this thing, I will. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Make it in a full little larger, I think. So good afternoon to all of you. It's my pleasure being with you today because of Mr. RS and the Textile Association who invited me to be there with this webinar. Now, basically my subject, can you make it larger? I need not to be full screen, but make it readable, no, please.
Make it 125% maybe.
Maybe bigger size.
Yeah.
Now I want to, I was almost 3 days, I was there in Bharat Tex, and I want to discuss them into 2 parts. Number 1 is the various panel discussions happened and the knowledge sessions, where I was also part of that, mainly for the technical textile area, last year and this year also. Now, in the panel discussion, there were 2 major areas were covered. It was again smaller. I mean,
the earlier one is fine.
Earlier one is better.
Yeah.
Number one was an outlook on technical textiles. So mainly this particular one was actually organized with, there were about 7 or 8 of our members, all the leading technical textile manufacturers like Arvind, then Strata, then TechFab, and all those people. And Joint Secretary was spearheading this, given the entire outlook of this. And even Secretary Madam also joined this discussion. Basically, this was discussed about the future of this, how we are, today we are about 23, 24 billion dollar US dollar market. Then our target, which was been set by the ministry, is almost like 40 by 230. 2030. And it is easily achievable by, not easily, but with the efforts, it can be achievable because of the growth rate of this segment is nearly 10%, 9 to 10%. So that was also very revealing. A number of areas came out on this. And this is basic thing which we have been talking for a long time is about the availability of the high performance fibers. See, basically many of the polyester, polypropylene, or the other fibers are nylon 6 are available, but the aramid, ultra high polycular weight polyethylene, these are the fibers which are not available in India, is being imported. And import duty and all these things together, it costs almost like 24, 25% with the manufacturers. So these are the concerns. Some of the concerns were discussed. And particularly the second one is also overlooking the global potential, the capitalizing on emerging opportunities. So number of areas where I will just a little bit discuss here because it's a very vast subject on this. Now there are definitely, even if you look at the market of technical textile today, even it is more than knitting segment of textiles. About 24 US billion dollar. Out of that, export is only about less than 3. So there is always this particular Bharat Tex was major focus was on the enhancement of the exports of these technical textiles and overall textiles also, but technical textile was on focus. Even Secretary mentioned that we should find out the ways and means to improve and improve the export potential. Now the major thing where happened that, see, basically we have to see which are the countries where they need these products. That was the major discussion took place by the opinion of the various experts who were in this panel. And it was actually, the second panel was conducted by our Gerzistan, that's some Swiss person who is the head of the Swiss this thing. And the first one was partly by the Ernst & Young, and partly then finally our people all attended and contributed to this. So these are the two areas, panel discussions, and there were a number of master classes of different technical textile subjects. Now coming to the exhibition part of it, then exhibition in technical textile was in hall number 12, partly 12A and partly in 11. Now, basically, if we see the total exhibits this time was comparatively less than the last year. Now, it was been actually another problem happened in this particular technical text, this Bharat Tex 25, is it was scattered. Many of the machinery manufacturers were put into the Noida. And some of the other technical textile manufacturers like Mr. Amit Jain mentioned about this various fibers used and other things, they were all put into the home textiles. Some of the areas, it was a little bit scattered, which last year it was all together in one hall in the main mandapam, it was there. Nevertheless, there were good products. I think again, this has become smaller. Can you make it larger, please, so that people can read also? So, yeah. Now, there were a couple of products which are key products, which I may mention that there were the exhibitors exhibited. And also some of the things which are, you see here, another problem is that they don't exhibit everything because of the confidentiality, because of their innovative ideas and all that, so that it doesn't go to the competitors. So it will conservative because of this. But protective garments made of inherent FR fiber like polyester, viscose, polyacrylic, then blends of aramid and various other things. So this was the focus area where number of protective garments were displayed. And this is the area where there are huge amount of work is being done by the industry. We know various types of blends and various types of fibers are blended together to achieve the ultimate properties of the end use. Second is the bulletproof jacket, which was mentioned earlier. That was mainly IIT Delhi has developed with DRDO. And you see, the main focus on this is to reduce the weight of these jackets. In the earlier years, there are hard armors, mainly from made out of the metallic origin. They were very heavy, and it was very difficult for the forces to use them, wear them. They have to run, they have to actually crawl, and various things. Now, the trend has gone to the soft armor, which is mainly a combination of various fibers like aramid, dynama, ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene, this type of high modulus, high-strength fibers and filaments. And the weight has become almost less than half. So which is very easy to wear, and it is more comfortable because it's a softness, it goes along with the body. So that is the trend which is seen nowadays about these bulletproof jackets. And these jackets about 5 or 6 years back, almost maybe 100% or 90%, we can say that they were being imported. But now there are a number of manufacturers who are manufacturing it in India, and it's available over there at a much, much lower cost than what we were importing. For example, if it is one armor was maybe about 50,000 rupees in one piece. Now it has come down to maybe about 50% or so, roughly. Now that is the area. And the gloves. There are huge number of exhibitors were there for making the different functional gloves. Sometimes we think what is there in the gloves so critical, but it is extremely critical for the people who are the workmen who are working on a dangerous situations like welding, like various cutting areas, then sparks areas. So these are the gloves which are actually made out of the blend of the various fibers with the cut resistance, flame resistance, then spark resistance. Even in this case, a lot of core spun yarns are being used, where the steel yarn or the carbon yarn is put into the core, and the sheath is the combination of aramid and other fibers also. So here a lot of innovation potential is there, and number of companies are working on it for developing these different types of industrial gloves. Another area is the non-woven products. This constitutes almost more than 40% non-woven technology for the manufacturing of technical textile products. So these are we know that it is maybe about 5 decades old needle punching processes or chemical bonding. But now the current, the potential technologies are the spunless, which is called hydro entanglement, where the very high speed water jets, instead of a steel needle, they are actually bonding the fabric and giving you the strength. Then there is a spun bond, which is actually there is the extrusion process where the filament is being spun from the extruders and laid on the table and then bonded for very high strength and all. And same is the melt blown, which is a very, very micro and nano size fibers, which is a layer is a must for the face mask manufacturing. So these are the latest technologies which are available in India. The technology machinery are available. So mainly they say spunless. Spunless products are very well accepted or very much for the manufacturing of the wipes. Different types of wipes like wet wipes, then industrial wipes, dry wipes, and then spun bond has got number of applications like geotextiles. Then it is in the very thin fabric which is used for making the PPE garment, which we all know about the time of COVID. Then you have this the jacket, which is from the top, even in the caps, the entire the gear, entire things right up to the shoe. They are all polypropylene spun bond thin material and melt blown, as I told about that filtration layer for viruses and all. So then the next many of the areas we find in this exhibition also about the filtration products. You know, the filtration is a very large area. There are major two types of filters. Number one is the dry filter, and then second is the wet filters. So you can, by name, you can find out these dry filters are all used for the pollution control for various industries. And wet wipes, there are for the various filters right up to the stages of your drugs and other things also. Oil, drugs, water, milk, so many things. So there are two types of structures are used, woven structure, non-woven structure. So you can, there were some different types of these filter fabrics or filter bags made out of it. So in Bharat Tex also, you can find, so we found some of the exhibitors exhibited these products. Then next area is the upcoming area is the composites. The composites are actually is nothing, the concept is not new. Because there were earlier from the natural fiber, a lot of things were there or developments took place by, Jute Board or the Jute Research Institutes from Calcutta, Coir from Kerala, and along with the, whether it is the rubber or the polymer, then you make different types of products. But these are having certain limitations. And now the main high-tech composites which are being made from the carbon, glass, aramid, polyester, high tenacity polyester, these type of reinforced material, which is used along with the FRP, that is the fiber reinforced plastics, engineering plastics. As you all know that all these aircrafts, they are all the major parts are all composites, which is edges they are using. But currently you will find in many of the automotives, mainly the cars, there you will find that many of the areas, many of the parts of the body are made out of the composites. This is because mainly the main advantage is to make it lighter, and it's more durable than both lighter and all that. That is the advantage. And all our car manufacturers mainly are using now majority of the parts made out of the composites. And this is a very upcoming area, and there are enormous number of applications are there. Even extremely high, if you take an example, is our all these missiles and all the when we are going towards moon and all these areas, all are the very high-end composites. And there are different levels, different types of composites are being used, and that industry is growing quite fast. Even the sports textile. Nowadays, hockey sticks are made out of this. Tennis rackets are made out of the composite material. And even people are trying to make the, cricket bat out of the composites. So which I was told that we have one company has already developed this product and it is under trial. So there are a lot of innovations possible in this particular segment. Now, next segment is the smart textiles. This is another very upcoming area. And the major applicants are the medical and also the sports textiles. So I'm not going into that much of details. Here, not many products were there, but there were some startups, there were some companies who are actually, we know that. And now all the Center of Excellences, they have displayed their the earlier speaker also mentioned about it. So even the WRA, when he mentioned about the other one, I think I would mention that there is a product which is called the cricket pad, which they have developed from the textile material, composite material by WRA. So they are the Center of Excellence for Sport Tech. So that is a good development they have done, and all of them are doing good developments. And Bitra, as you said, they mentioned. But there one hurdle is that this is to be industry oriented, and industry should take up those technologies and commercialize it. So that is why at this point in time, I can mention that under this Ministry of Textiles, they have actually very high focus on technical textiles, and about 1,500 crores nearly were allocated for the development for the various purposes. There are 4 objectives under National Technical Textile Mission. So that R&D projects and other things all are given to not only with these traditional textile research institutes, but also to many IITs, NITs, NIFT, all these institutions where they have the, it is all project based. So whoever the scientists or the professors have applied for the project and it is found, evaluated and found it is good for encouragement, then there were, even these grants went up to the level of almost 10 to 15 crores. So that is the kind of an encouragement is coming, and so that these, our industry and the research institutes and the academic institutions are taking advantage of it, and we hope that in coming years we'll have a number of such products will be available to the commercial stage, and our industry will get benefit. And similarly, that along with that, there were textile committee also. They had a stall and they have displayed a digital visualization microscope, which was a very unique one, which they have installed for the various analytical purposes. And then there were, technical textiles needs a lot of certifications. And unless these products are being certified as per their specifications, it's not only the Indian specification, there are specifications abroad. So these certifying bodies are doing good job, and there were, I think, 6 or 7 people were displayed in hall number 12, where they are offering number of their services and products, and testing services, and then certification services, all these things. So that is also a good sign that number of people were there, along with the Center of Excellences. So in short, that is the scenario we found in this time, the Bharat Tex 25. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Rakshit, for a brief overview of technical textile developments in Bharat Tex. I thank all the 4 speakers for a wonderful deep dive into their own domain, covering the Bharat Tex. Now, let's go to question and answer session. I'll just check some of the questions which have come up in the chat box. So, 1 minute, just give me a minute. There's a question which has come from Dr. Manisha Mathur. 1 minute, just. I saw it earlier, so let me just catch it.
Repeat it.
You can ask Dr. Manisha if you're there. Yeah, please.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Dr. Manisha Mathur from Shashnira. There was a lot of focus on these handloom things. So I wanted to know whether in this present scenario, there are any handloom voile manufacturers in India, or they are only manufacturing the other varieties of saris and dhotis. So that was my question, sir.
I think if Dr. Sood is still there, probably Dr. Samir Sood can answer. Otherwise, I'll put it in the hands of Mr. Amit Jain, if he can.
Shall I answer for this question?
Yeah, please. Ankush, you can.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. So myself, Ankush Mittal, I'm a regional sales head for this EcoCert India Private Limited. So this question is related for voile. Yeah, handloom voile is possible, and it will be weaving in the West Bengal location.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
So actually, Mamta Didi claims that West Bengal is the largest producer of saris in the country. So voile is the basic, lightweight for that West Bengal part of the country. So you're absolutely bang on, Ankush.
Yes. Thank you.
There's a question from Mr. Rashmi Shah. I think, Rashmiji, you can ask yourself if you want, instead of my asking. So you'll have to unmute Mr. Rashmi Shah. Yeah, Rashmi.
Good evening, everyone. It was just like we have just attended the Bharat Tex. So much, very nice presentation.
Thank
Now,
you.
what I want to ask, just go little bit out of this thing. Now, has anybody tried garments from non-woven fabric? So this will curtail the very long process and will help in sustainability and maybe develop another line for garmenting.
You want me to answer?
Yeah, obviously.
Yes.
Obviously, Dr. Rashid,
You are the expert, sir.
it's bold
Okay.
thoughts, you have to bat it.
Rashmi ji, see in the
Don't
garment.
tell me G. Rashmi is okay.
So you see in the garment itself, the non-woven material is used as interlining. You know.
Yeah,
So,
interlining is there since long.
since long. That is one area which is we all know. Second is that this PPE, when we have all these COVID thing, and even today also in the OT, operation theater, garments and other things, they're all the personal protection equipment wise, right from the cap, as I said, cap, then your garment and also the shoes. They're all made out of
Non-woven.
non-wovens. But the fundamental problem of making it as an apparel is mainly the laundering problem. Woven fabrics are not that stable for their the shrinkage level and their dimensional stability. Those are the things are not that favorable as it is in the woven and knitted structures. There are some structures which people tried, like spun bond material, which I told you. But again, that if you want to make them, the permeability, controlling the permeability is a problem. Because you may not be able to make it that comfortable and generally it becomes stiff. So that is why it is not being very popular. But disposable garments and disposable applications, they are very, very successful.
So now, but many coating materials are available. I think it can be explored. I don't say considering all this limitation. This will greatly reduce the entire textile process and will help.
See, to some extent, some people trying to develop the water repellent or waterproof
yes, exactly.
For raincoats, which are very light, and you can have a very light either lamination or coating.
Coating.
These are all this type of technology has got microspores. It is called. There are some inorganic particles are put into the polymer, and that is being during processing it is actually melted, so that you create then micropores, so that your comfort level, that is the moisture vapor and the body heat, this thing can be also transmitted. So these concepts some people are trying, and that is also an area where there is a good research scope is there.
No, my question was because of when we passed out in 74, there was no AI. And now there is AI. So everything is possible.
Let me go to the next question.
Thank you.
The question is from Mr. Salil Chawla.
Can you come in person, Rajji?
Yeah, please, why not? If you are unmuted, I'm very happy. Yeah, please, Salilji.
Thank you so much. First and foremost, I have to congratulate you on building this Bharat Tex, and christening it more like a Kumbh, Mahakumbh, I like that narration because it is a Kumbh of sort, You asking it Mahakumbh, I think it makes sense. So starting it from where, because I have had a deep dive, most of the sessions I could personally attend, and all the 6 days I was there, I'm just trying to join the dots, starting from Bharat Tex as a success trail, and now building on what Trump has unleashed trade war between US and China, and yesterday 20% that thing hike has come into being, which I think India already is in a very, very supportive geopolitical favorable nation. It is in sweet spot. So, you as an expert, what do you think that, though it is too early, because everyday situation is unfolding, it's very dynamic state, but most of the whatever commentary we hear from CEA, from our authorities, from finance secretary, revenue secretary, honorable finance minister, all they are saying that India needs not to worry, rather all these things are going to support India. So you are on which side of the debate? Do you really see India gaining out of this situation? Thank you.
Anybody would like to answer?
Can I
Out
take
of
that?
speakers?
Yeah,
Yeah,
take
Amitji. Yeah.
Yeah, hi Salil. You have put in a
Thank
very
you.
you have put in us in a tight spot, but at least I'll try to wriggle out of it. So whatever I know little about Chinese exporters and the Chinese government, so 20%, I think half of it would be absorbed by the government and the exporter together, or maybe even 60%. So they may just add a few, 5, 6, 7% here and there. But to build up a supply chain which is contributing to the global business of around 35 to 36% of garments would be difficult for India to do in a jiffy. But having said that, gestation period of a garment unit, Gurdas ji would be the right person to tell on that, would be 4 to 6 months from zero to running. So there is an opportunity for India to build up a supply chain on garments and especially the winter garments, because that is where the real FOB value is. So I think for every 50, maybe 40 to 50 tops and one winter garment would be more or less equivalent. So it is very important for us to focus on polyester supply chain and winter garments. So with these two focus, I think we can at least add 5% to our share. So what that 2030 figure of $100 billion can happen only because of that.
Yeah. I would just like to add to what Amitji said, that I think we'll have to watch very carefully, but I personally believe there will be some advantage for India for sure. Because, this China-America trade war, we don't know where it will lead. As far as textile is just one product, but there are many big products like electronics and all where the war will intensify further.
Semiconductor.
Yeah, semiconductors.
That is another big.
I think textile is, according to me, he cannot just have tariff wars with every country, because the textiles coming in US will become very expensive and there'll be a lot of problems, within the country. On a lighter note, I think India has an advantage for two reasons. Mr. Modi is a good friend of Mr. Trump, and Mr. JD, one's wife is Indian. So let's hope India gets some benefit out of it.
Right.
So our damad is in the administration.
Vice President. Yeah.
Vice President.
There's one question. I'm very happy it has come from South India, from Mr. Someshwaran from Ramco Textile Division. It's for Mr. Ameya Padma. So if we can unmute Mr. Someshwaran, he can ask himself. Otherwise, then I can read it. Mr. Someshwaran, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, please.
I have one question for Mr. Ameya Padma. Consumption of 100% Supima Giza yarns has dropped significantly compared to last year. Is there any specific reason for
that? First of all, the vertical units, those who are consuming this yarn, have started importing the yarn from Egypt, especially for Egyptian. Secondly, there is no duty above 32 mm for the cotton. So that is another area where it is increasing the demand. I don't know about the Ramco currently yarn supply, what is the issue. But if you see the statistics, it is increased by 10 to 15% in Supima fibers, and Egyptian around 8 to 10% increase is there year on year. So basically, people are like vertical units like Indocont has started buying from Egypt, the Egyptian yarn instead of fiber. So that might be the reason you are facing some issues in Supima and Giza yarn supply. But if you see the fiber consumption, it has increased. The demand is more on the home textile side. There are many verticals have gone up to 80-90% in Supima Egyptian rather than cotton. So you can see the increase is there, but I don't know about the yarn, why there is a drop.
Thank you, Amit. It's not only about Ramco, because I'm checking with all the spinners and
Yeah.
year on year, this you can say from last June to currently, there was a drop in almost over producing Giza and Supima yarns. Significant drop.
The stock held by the buyer's side. There are buyers currently having pile of stocks of home textile bed linen at their warehouses. So currently there is a sluggish period going on in the home textile as far as these orders are concerned about Supima and Egyptian.
Thank you.
So there are lots of questions, but I think we won't be able to take all of them. I'll just pick up few of them where quickly answers can be sought. There's a question from Mr. Anil Kumar. Would you like to ask this, or otherwise I can read? He has asked a question to Mr. Amit Jain that you mentioned about the JV between Grasim and RSWM for graphene fibers. He's asking, could you please explain what is graphene fiber? But of course, I also see that Mr. Gohen of Textile Excellence has responded to him already. That
Great.
what is graphene?
So great.
Yeah.
He has made my life easy. So you can take the next question then.
Yeah. There's a question from Mr. Shirish Nadkarni. Is the Kevlar yarn still available for bulletproof fabric?
Yes, it's available.
It's available.
But it's being imported actually. It's mainly the DuPont.
Yeah.
DuPont is making it. In US and also in, I think, Malaysia or Indonesia, they have a plant.
Yeah. See, one interesting thing on this subject and this question, India still doesn't manufacture majority of the performance fibers, technical fibers, and this is a big hurdle now. If really we want to increase technical textiles manufacturing and export, we need to have local manufacturing of most of these technical fibers and performance fibers, which are imported. And because of this QCO, it is becoming extremely difficult for the fabric maker to import these fibers. But the good news is that I recently heard that Reliance has announced putting up a new plant for manufacturing of many of these performance fibers which are yet imported so far. So I think to larger extent, we hope that fibers like Kevlar also will be manufactured in the coming years. Mr. Bharat, you have asked one very interesting question.
Yes.
I don't know whether anybody will be able to answer this about inquiry generated.
Can I speak now?
Yeah, please, Mr. Bharat, please.
You see, I've been now shifted from textile to some mentoring for the last 4-5 years. See, we are having a lot of recycling of a product, and a lot of garments are going to the Africa. But major problem, the garments are a fashion garment. Actually, they need a lot of school uniform, and that also much cheaper. And there may be a larger quantity of a school uniform. One of the school in Doha is buying the school uniform, altering it in Doha and exporting to Africa. So while doing a recycling of a garment, I think it is necessary because Mr. Sood said recycling is a very important thing, and recycling as a garment is essential. That is what I feel.
Thank you, Mr. Bharat. There is a question from Mr. Gautam Joshi from Vardhaman Textile. So is he there? Then you can unmute him. I think he can ask. Mr. Gautam Joshi? Otherwise, I'll read his question. It's a very interesting question. Is that there is a lot of stress on sustainability and sustainable fashion, but there are two big challenges which are not discussed or touched. One is cost involved, as recycled fibers are expensive, and consumer awareness. So how do you see these two? Very interesting question. Dr. Sood, I don't know whether he's there. Otherwise, Amitji, you or
I can take that.
Ameya can answer.
No, basically, the problem is the most of the textiles is today blended. It is not pure cotton or pure polyester, it is blended. So recycling a blended fabric is a challenge. So that is where the cost part increases. And those are differently dyed. So all this, the complete supply chain is where the problem is in the production of the fabric itself or the garment itself. So unless we go towards pure or we develop technologies of recycling of the blended material, the problem would stay.
Yes, thank you.
Shall I add some points to it?
Please.
See what he mentioned. You see, particularly the recycling of the PET bottle, that is PET to the fiber, bottle to fiber, is already established. It's very easy, and it is already there in India for last almost more than 20 years. But there also, the point is that when you go for the dyeing, the dye uniformity of those recycled fibers are a challenge. So there are certain developments we had done in Reliance for the dye guarantee type of fibers, but that can be possible in smaller lots. Cannot be done with the metric tons and tons and tons. It's very difficult. But the art of making it in the finer denier, coarser denier, hollow fibers for polyester, that is technology is available, and we have got at least, I think, 8 to 10 manufacturers who are making it. And as Jain Saab has told, you see, even if one is the problem with the blend, but we have nowadays for the fashion, there are huge amount of garments which are 100% polyester. If you take the Surat, couple of lakhs of tons every day is made from 100% polyester. But where those fabrics goes? The problem also from recovering from 100% polyester garment back to the yarn, and this thing is also the major problem is, as far as I know, is the stripping of dispersed dye.
Yeah, you're right.
That stripping of dispersed dye is so expensive that it is not feasible to actually strip them, make into white, and then recycle it and then put it back to the spinning. I think that is the major hurdle. We tried a lot, but it was not, cost viability doesn't come.
Yeah. Thank you, Doctor. Just one additional information. As far as the polyester cotton blends is concerned, there is a new technology which is on the verge of getting converted from lab to commercial, where chemically the polyester cotton blend is treated, and cotton is actually cellulose part is dissolved and dissolved into a form of it becomes a glucose, which is then used for industrial uses, and polyester remains intact.
Very good.
So this technology is very, I put a post on LinkedIn also. This is a very interesting technology. Once it becomes commercial, I think it will solve a lot of problem of polyester cotton blends recycling, at least. Yeah. There's one question for you. I'll take last two questions for you, Dr. Rakshit, from Mr. Gaurav Sharma. When an Indian lab shall be UL approved for NFPA test?
NFPA, I think.
So he has written, NFPA test. Sorry.
NFPA. NFPA is actually a flame retardant test, which is actually it is possible in India. There are laboratories who can do that. Nitra can do, Bitra can do on that. But the main thing is that when you are going to export to any of these countries, so those countries are always asking, okay, you have tested in Indian lab, but you have to test it in the European lab or US lab. That is actually a commercial things like that. So they get into our exporters have to comply, otherwise the importer or the customer will not accept. Otherwise, this test is available. It can be done here.
Thank you. Mr. Sur, you have one question, but unfortunately there is nobody who can answer your question on dyeing. But you can still ask the question. Let me see if I can answer.
Yeah, actually, thank you, sir, for allowing me because a lot of things are discussing is going on. But yeah, as you know, in Bharat Tex, no discussion on dyeing and finishing, no spread, no master classes also. So that's why I want to know the trend around the world. Actually, it has to be done for us in manufacturing hub if we want to do in India. Dr. Bassett just replied me because Mr. Amay told he not the person. The Dr. Bassett has replied that they have sustainable waterless dyeing technology Soprano that has been exhibited in hall number 12.
Yeah, he exhibited Dr.
Yes.
Bassett, and I think that is the one which was there. I saw also. Yes. So I think what we do now is we will end up the session now. It was very interesting session, and to be very honest, more than 100 people joined live here through the links, and many people joined through live YouTube. I think nowadays to get even 50 people audience is challenging. So in that scenario, getting more than 100 direct and so many on YouTube is amazing. And this shows the importance of Bharat Tex, and I feel very happy that my idea of conceiving this session for those who could not attend or those who attended but didn't get time to go around all the places. This will be really a great knowledge sharing platform. So I think to that extent this has succeeded. I thank all the speakers, organizers. I particularly have to thank Rishikesh, who has handled the complete technical side of this webinar. And last but not the least, all the participants for actively participating and remaining till end of this webinar. That's really appreciable. So I thank you once again, all of you.
Thanks, Mr. Aras.
Sir, आपने तो reply दिया ही नहीं जो आपने बोलते you can highlight on that.
I'll give you separately because now I think it's the end of the time. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
I thank you all on behalf of the Textile Association Mumbai Unit. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.